UN and Bill Gates behind digital public infrastructure for global control. Now this wild stuff that they're putting together is about power, is about control. They're trying to give everyone a number, and then you have to pay everything through this number. Everything from internet, business dealings, everything will be tied to you, and anyone around the world be able to access that. And this is so they're able to pile everyone together and control everyone. This is what the elites want. And we're gonna talk a little bit about that. But before we get started, go ahead and hit that like button, share this out so we can get this information out there. Subscribe if you're not already a subscriber, and hit that alarm bell so you know when I'm putting out new stuff. Also, check out my link tree in the description. It has a link to my Patreon. That's where I talk about things I can't talk about here. There's also a link to my Instagram and my merch store. Also, check out jjthepsychotherapist.com for news as well. All right, let's talk about this news. Now, this comes from the Liberty Daily from Alex Newman, and he report by way of Liberty Sentinel, and he reports that dozens of national governments are joining with the United Nations and billionaire population control fanatic Bill Gates on a global program to impose digital public infrastructure, or DPI, on their citizens within 5 years. The DPI includes central bank digital currencies, or CBDCs. I know we're all aware what that is. A digital identification, comprehensive data systems, and more, all functional across national borders. The new scheme, unveiled late last year and moving ahead rapidly, is known as 50 in 1. We have to get this word out because 50 governments expect to have the Orwellian digital infrastructure of tyranny in place within 5 years. Almost a dozen governments, including numerous corrupt kleptocracies, and socialist regimes have volunteered their populations to serve as first mover countries so far. However, the UN assumption is that every government will eventually impose this on every person on Earth. This is clearly expressed throughout its announcements. It said, quote, all countries, regardless of income level, geography, or where they are in the digital transformation journey, can benefit from being a part of 50 in 5. The UN agency behind the scheme declared, quote, joining the campaign helps ensure countries don't have to tackle DPI implementation alone or start from scratch. Led by the UN Development Program, or UNDP, the new digital infrastructure is being framed as a tool to accelerate the imposition of the highly controversial UN's 2030 Agenda Sustainable Development Goals, referred to in 2015 by key UN leaders as the Master Plan for Humanity. And I've covered Agenda 2030 way back on my old channel years ago. Again, all of this is tied together. This is their plan for depopulation. That's what the main goal is. And the way to get us to help to depopulate us, first they have to herd us all together. And that's what this system is. This system is to herd us all together. This is part of the one world. This is what the Bible talks about when the Bible talks about talks about this, the world coming together like this. That's what this is. I have to tell y'all, we're definitely living in end times, and this is what the UN is. It's pushing us closer towards that. But the SDGs, as they are known, call for global wealth redistribution and drastically more government power over people's lives at all levels. The mass murdering regime ruling China boasted of playing a crucial role in developing the plan. This is worldwide socialism, worldwide communism, really. That's why China is behind this. China is the main force behind this. China and your elites. But Gates, who had a troubling relationship with convicted child sex trafficker Jeffrey Epstein, celebrated the role of these technologies in imposing the UN SDGs on humanity. Quote, the G20 reached a groundbreaking consensus on the role of digital public infrastructure as a critical accelerator of the Sustainable Development Goals, he said on X. I'm optimistic about the potential of DPI to support a safer, healthier, and more just world. Oh man, this guy's so evil. Who believes this guy has people's best interests at heart? Why we continue to give this man so much power and so much say? I don't understand. But the whole program is being guided by the UN and the elitists, including Gates and others, such as the Rockefellers, longtime financiers of globalism, eugenics, and population control schemes. Multiple front groups steered by such control oligarchs. I love that term. I'm gonna start using that. Control oligarchs were created for the purpose, but U.S. and European taxpayers are being conscripted to foot the bill via UN agencies and international development banks. See, that's why Trump was trying to get us out of the United Nations. We pay for all of this. We are funding our own destruction. We are funding our own destruction, getting rid of our sovereignty and all that other things. This is what we're doing with these things that the globalists are pushing. But if not stopped, critics say the new suite of digital public goods and infrastructure will create technological pan, panel, pan, panel, panopticon, allowing for total surveillance and control of all people everywhere. Indeed, as the 2030 agenda makes clear, no one will be left behind. Once in full swing, literally every transaction would be tracked, monitored, and controlled. And if it's controlled like that, that means it can shut it off. That's why. Oh, you want to make a gun purchase? Well, you can't purchase it with this with this credit card, and we're no longer accepting cash. So now we don't like what your political speech. You're not going to be able to purchase any weapons now. This is the control and stuff that they want. But UN bureaucrats put a happy face on the program. Quote, for UNDP and DPI approach that combines people-centric governance is central to ensure that this new infrastructure can accelerate the 2030 Agenda SDGs, argued Kizum Nokta Masali, head of digital program in UNDP. This country-led 50 and 5 campaign is a core part of how UNDP continues to support meaningful global digital cooperation and strengthen local ecosystems to design and implement right-based DPI. Already, virtually all national governments and central banks around the world are working on central bank digital currencies, CBDCs, according to the Bank for International Settlement in Switzerland, that is helping to guide and coordinate the rolling out of such currencies worldwide. As cash is sidelined and then disappears, CBDCs will create a permanent record of all transactions. Perhaps even more troubling, the digital currencies will also be programmable, leading experts and leading experts and officials say that will allow governments to an unprecedented degree of control over the economy and individual decisions of consumers. This is what I was alluding to. They can basically make it where you can only make certain purchases and they can shut you down from buying certain things and products and stuff like that. In fact, the Biden White House has even called for CBDCs to advance racial equity. We don't know what that means, and environmental priorities. We definitely know what that means. Leading luminaries have called for them to track individual carbon footprints too. So they will track every single purchase you make. And what if they say, oh, um, you purchased this many pounds of meat this year, beef this year, and we all know this is what they believe. They believe that beef, meat, cows create CO2, carbon dioxide, methane in the air, which is harmful for the environment. So since you purchased this many pounds of meat, which comes from cow that produce methane, we'll charge you these carbon taxes for purchasing this meat. I can see them doing something like that. Along with CBDCs, governments around the world are rolling out digital IDs to go with them. The Australian Senate just voted to approve such a system last week, and multiple American state governments, including some controlled entirely by Republicans, are pursuing similar schemes, and various organizations associated with Gates, the Rockefeller dynasty, and the UN have been promoting such IDs for years, including through groups such as the ID 2020. Ultimately, the digital IDs and CBDCs will become inseparable. The Financial Times discussed the relationship between all the different systems in the digital infrastructure system in 2020 in a 2021 piece headlined Why CBDCs Will Likely Be ID Based. It reveals how CBDCs and digital IDs can and will be used together to ultimately control people. Quote, what CBDC research and experimentation appears to be showing is that it will be nigh on impossible to issue such currencies outside of a comprehensive national digital ID management system, wrote FT's Isabella Kameniska, meaning CBDCs will likely be tied to personal accounts that include personal data, credit history, and other forms of relevant information. All that will be tied to you, which means they can shut down your entire living if they want. Eventually, healthcare will become intertwined with it, with all of it, as CCP backed World Health Organization boss and former ethno Marxist terrorist leader Tedros Ghebreyesus explained. He said, quote, the COVID-19 pandemic highlighted the value of digital health solutions in facilitating access to health services. He declared before touting COVID vaccine passports imposed by the European Union, the World Health Organization is now using the EU system to design a similar regime for all of humanity. Top globalists have hinted at where this is going. Quote, this trick is to build public digital infrastructure that is interoperable, open to all, and trusted. Let me give you an example that is reality today, said EU President Ursula von der Leyen at a G20 summit in September. Quote, many of you are familiar with the COVID-19 digital certificate. The EU developed it for itself. The model was so functional and so trusted that 51 countries on 4 continents adopted it for free. A social credit score whereby each individual receives a rank based on his or her compliance with technocrats, we see it in China, demands is essentially inevitable under the regime as well, critics say. Quote, advocates are adamant that DPI is essential for participation in markets and society, just like we saw with vaccine passports, only on a much broader scope, explained the sociable editor Tim Hinchcliffe, one of the first to sound the alarm. Now, the potential for control, he continued, is almost endless. If successful, DPI will give governments and corporations the power to implement systems of social credit and can determine where and how you can travel, what you are allowed to consume, and how you will be able to transact with your programmable money, added Hinchcliffe. And that's what I was alluding to. You will not be able to make certain purchases because they're already trying. We all know they're trying to phase out cash altogether. So if everything is digital, that means it could be cut off. That means if you go to use a credit card, it can say no, you cannot make this purchase because of global warming. Or, oh no, you can't make this purchase. You went over your carbon credits for this month already. This is what this is about. Of course, this sort of system already exists in communist China, something the New American has been warning about for almost a decade. The CCP serves as a role model, according to World Economic Forum boss and Great Reset frontman Klaus Schwab. Y'all know I talk about him all the time, and countless other globalists. And so it is only a matter of time before such a regime is eventually unveiled in the West without massive opposition. Tracking children is the top of the priority list according to the WEF, as the data gathered is used to make decisions for people. Fundamentally, a digital public infrastructure is about enabling data to flow seamlessly across sector and systems, thereby enabling data-driven decision-making and policies, the globalist organization says in a piece about tracking children with DPI. The digital public infrastructure will also fuel increasing restrictions on everyday life, including on movement amid emergencies of 15-minute cities. it will be used to impose all sorts of mandates, including lockdown policies under pretext ranging from alleged public health emergencies to supposed man-made climate change. Opponents are warning, citing statements by the peddlers of these systems. But it gets weird. It gets weirder. At the end of what Schwab describes as the fourth industrial revolution, there will be a fusion of digital or physical and biological entities. The German technocrat has said on multiple occasions. The full implications of that vision have not been worked out, but Schwab himself frequently promotes microchips to be implanted inside of human brains, among other transhumanist schemes. The 50 in 5 campaign for DPI officially launched late last year in New York. It aims to, quote, radically shorten the length of time that it takes to digitize everything from identification to currency. That will happen through collaboration between the UN and governments as they share technology to eventually create an interoperable system in at least 50 countries by 2028. The whole world is expected to follow suit. Y'all know I'm gonna be fighting against it. In addition to the UNDP, the Gates Foundation and the governments that have already signed up, a wide array of AstroTurf groups and UN agencies is also involved, many of them funded by governments as well as profiteers such as Gates and his technocratic allies. These include UNICEF, the Inter-American Development Bank, the Center for Digital Public Infrastructure, and the Digital Public Good Alliance. The first governments to jump on the bandwagon, most with promise of free money extracted from Western taxpayers, include Bangladesh, Ethiopia, Guatemala, Moldova, Senegal, Sierra Leone, Sri Lanka, Togo, and a handful of wealthier government, including those of Norway, Singapore, have also signed on. Um, but this is wild. This is wild, wild stuff. Sierra Leone Minister of Communication, Technology, and Innovation, Salima Manorma Ba, called on all governments to sign on. But even as totalitarian technocrats rush ahead with these technologies, opposition is growing. Thank goodness. We need more voices like myself and like people like you that are aware of this to speak out. So I'm sending this out to everyone and let people know what's going on to fight against these digital controls. But in Florida, for example, a new law has officially banned CBDCs. Numerous other states are pursuing similar measures after the devastating lies and tyranny that underpin the COVID pandemic were exposed. Billions of people around the world are unlikely to ever have their trust in institutions restored. I don't know about that. There's still some dum dums out there. I know people are still doing the jabby jab thing. So it's still some people that are just uninformed on this. With most Americans now saying the media is the enemy, but thank goodness for that. But let me know what you think. Leave your comments down below. Like, share, subscribe, and check out jjthepsychotherapist.com for the latest in news. Until next time, peace.